Do you own your own business, or does it own you? If you're ready to take back control of your life, kick the crap out of your way, shorten your learning curve, design your own version of success, and claim your entrepreneurial freedom, then you're in the right place. This is Do Business on Your Own Terms with your host, Bob Holdsworth.
Welcome to this edition of Do Business on Your Own Terms. It's Bob Holdsworth. It's Wednesday. How are you? Today we're going to talk about something that's important, critical even, for you as a business owner to wrap your brain around. And it's something that people don't like to talk about. And that is being selfish. You know, if you've read everything you ever learned and everything you needed to know in life you learned in kindergarten, it talks about sharing and being nice to others. And that's fine if you're sharing a box of Legos or a box of crayons, not so much if you're sharing the profits from your business. So I call this why being ethically selfish is a good thing. Now, for those of you who are into economics or have spent a fair amount of time reading business-related books, you've probably heard of economist Milton Friedman. His definition of business, the purpose of a business, is to maximize the profits for its owners. And in the case of a publicly traded company, which probably most of you are not, the stockholders are the owners. And we could talk for a long period of time about whether or not going public is a good thing or not. I had the opportunity to do that probably 15 years ago and opted not to even consider it, simply because I wanted to answer to me. I did not want to answer to stockholders. I did not want to have quarterly profits and loss statements that were going to require me to make choices that I might not want to make. And it just didn't fit for me. For you guys, some of you out there, that may be a goal of yours, is to get to an IPO and, cash out on day one and make a lot of money on that day. I personally, that's not freedom to me. That's answering to another set of masters. But the way in which you maximize profits, obviously, is through the way you structure your business, and the way in which you bring the money in is accomplished through the provision of quality services and products in exchange for money. It's pretty straightforward. I'm big on short, kind of punchy sentences. You'll hear me do a lot of 6-word sentences throughout the course of episodes. And the one for today is 6 words. It's your business, your life, your terms. Let's talk a little bit about that. Your business. It is yours, potentially, and your partner's, depending on how you structure it. But let's just say it's you. What do you want from it? Nobody's ever asked you that before. What do you want from it? What is it supposed to do for you? The last couple of episodes, we've been talking about trying to get your brain around that and your arm around that. If you've downloaded 8 Steps to Freedom, you've seen the topic on ethically selfish already, but I want to go a little bit in deeper detail. But this is where you carve out what you're working for. So if you have employees, this is why it's ethically selfish. You've got to take care of vendors. You've got to pay your bills. You've got to take care of your employees. Don't forget the government. They hate competition. So make sure you pay your taxes. But you have to take care of those folks who are working for you. My philosophy with employees has always been that I am a servant leader. So my job is to take care of them, but their job is to serve the business and take care of the customers. So if I take care of them, they'll take care of the customers. It's worked for a very long period of time. That does not mean, like I said in a previous session, we had a company that for 25 plus years had 93% client retention, had virtually no staff turnover. Just people came and they stayed 15, 18, 20 years. And the reason for that is they knew that we had their back as owners, but we also took very good care of them. And by doing so, they took care of the clients. The clients didn't leave. The clients were very happy. Now, there's ebb and flow in every business, and relationships go south and people leave, and that's just fine. It's just the nature of business. But how many of you can claim a 20 plus year history of 93% client retention? It's hard to do, but it's worth every penny. And the way in which we did that was to make sure that even though it's my business, my way, and I'm going to be selfish about how the money gets spent, ethically selfish means that I'm also going to use my ethical judgment to make sure that everybody is well taken care of in the business. Workspace, gave them nice, comfortable workspace, gave them above average benefits. Marginal, we were in the 90th percentile for salary, but it was progressive. So they had to earn it. But once they got it and they did their job, they kept it. We added in perks that people could not believe for a company of our size. So I had at the peak, we had about 24 people, 24 staff members, $2.5 million a year, roughly. It was one of the businesses. I've had other businesses that have had way more employees than that. But we took everybody, if we made our goal for the year, and it was every single month, so 12 months in a row. If they missed a month, the clock started again. But after 12 months in a row of hitting goals that were very clearly defined, we took everybody on a trip. Employee, their spouse, their kids. We went to Disney 3 times for 3 or 4 days. And then we got into doing cruises. And for a couple of years, we did 3 or 4 day cruises. And then finally got to the point where it was actually better for us and everybody. We actually started taking everybody for a week. And we would close the company down. Or one person couldn't go, so they would be a skeleton crew, and then we would take care of them in another way when we came back. It built rapport within the team. It built a sense of family within the team. And for me, I was being selfish about it to some extent, even though that trip costs $35,000 to $40,000 a year. The selfish part of me said, if I spend $35,000 to $40,000, I get significant productivity out of the staff for the year. The clients stay, so I don't have to do marketing and continuously look for new clients. I build a better team. So the selfish part of it was the result was stability of income for all of us, but stability of income for my wife, Jennifer, and I. So there's a kind of the method to your madness thing. The other part of it, it's your business, is making sure that you pay yourself. I can't tell you how many business owners get out there and I did do it in the beginning when money was tight in the first year or so of business, took care of the staff members first, and I would pay myself twice next week. I don't think I would do that again. As a matter of fact, I would not do that again. We would work a little harder rather than bring that staff member on in the beginning, but pay yourself first. Second of the 6-word sentence, second part of it is your life. Being selfish about this is, how do you want your world structured? It's your business. Yes, it does revolve around you. It revolves around how you are most productive. It revolves around the highest and best use of your time. I think we talked in one of the earlier episodes. It doesn't make sense for me to learn how to build a website and for me to use the time at my reimbursement, my value to the company, does not make sense for me to spend my time doing that. It makes sense for me to find somebody that can do it quickly, efficiently, and knows what the hell they're doing, than for me to sit down and figure out how Wix works and start playing cut and paste with pictures, as opposed to writing the copy for that and figuring out ways to market it to bring people to it when it's done. So how do you want your world structured? How do you want people to interact with you? Ethically selfish. My days off are my days off. I don't want to be interrupted with a plethora of phone calls and emails. If you send me an email, you will get a reply that says, I only check email a couple times a day. I'll get back to you as quick as I can. Because I am not going to have that little icon come up and immediately drop everything that I'm doing, being productive, to get on the phone, start answering an email, and those types of things. And I have to be selfish about that. And again, my business, my rules.
If you really want entrepreneurial freedom and you want to be able to do business on your own terms, you have to start by taking action. A great place to start is by grabbing your complimentary copy of Bob's 8 Steps to Freedom. Go to oyot.com/8 steps and claim yours today.
When my kids were born, I took 3 weeks off from work to be with my wife and my new twins. And then when I did go back to work, my wife and I structured some time. And Tuesdays became the day that I would stay home with the kids during the week and that I would do something with them. And we did that. I was able to pull that off for 6 years, every Tuesday. And if I had to move a meeting or had to go to a meeting on a Tuesday, it would make it a Wednesday or Thursday. But bottom line is, Boys' Day happened once a week religiously for 6 years until they started kindergarten. So 5 years, 5.5 years. But we still did it as much as possible when we could, even after that, before they got to first grade. And we would run out and we would do all kinds of really cool things. We'd go, visit battleships. We'd go visit museums. We'd go to the airport and watch airplanes, all kinds of cool stuff like that. The important part was I chose to be selfish about that. And I actually announced it to my clients that Tuesday was Boys' Day. I would not be in the office. I probably was not going to take phone calls. Probably was not going to be on the computer. And the naysayers all around me said that'll never work. Clients are not going to tolerate that. Clients aren't going to put up with it. You're being unreasonable. All the stuff that always comes out of that going, you can't. And like, well, you know what? Let's go back to the beginning. My business, my life, my terms. Okay. So, hi, not going to be in on Tuesday. Get that? The result, I got 300 days, 5 years, 52 weeks, all day with my boys. All right. The clients loved it. While the naysayers were like, you'll never work, the clients actually embraced it and said, I wish I could do that. And in fact, a couple of people called up and said, you know what, I'm following your example. I started doing it. There's no reason for it. The kids are only going to be little ones. Again, ethically selfish. And we actually had a great time. If a client called on Tuesday, if I could answer the phone, kids are taking a nap or something like that, I could answer the phone, I'd get some work done. They'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. I just realized it was Tuesday. Is it okay? And I'm like, if it wasn't, I wouldn't have answered the phone. So we're fine. But thanks for thinking about it. The other part of being ethically selfish is how you structure your world in the way in which people communicate with you. From the very first day that I opened my business 30 years ago, I've always had a live body answering the phone, whether it be in-house secretary, in-house administrative assistant, an answering service. Very rare you'll get voicemail when you call a business. And that just means it's really busy that day and at that particular time. I tell clients I don't text. I can, I don't. Because texting is sort of like that 2-year-old that comes up and starts dragging on, pulling on your sleeve going, dad, 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 dad. And you get sucked into a conversation you didn't want to get sucked into. At the time, you didn't want to get sucked into it. So I tell clients, do not text me. You can call and leave a message if I'm not available to take your call. You can call and we will talk during our prescribed and scheduled times. You can send me an email and I will get to you as quickly as I can. But that is the way in which communication happens. So you control your entry pathways. I don't allow walk-ins to the office. Hey, I was in the area. I thought I'd stop in. Hi, good to see you. However, I'm on a deadline. Let's reschedule something. And a lot of times I don't tell people where I'm going to be working today because it's important to me to control that time and be productive. You have to do the same thing, right? So let's talk about your life a little bit more. We talked about how to kind of structure access to you and that type of thing. Let's talk about crafting the lifestyle and building the business strategically to fit. I call it lifestyle math. Before you can identify who you're doing business with, which drives your marketing, who you're not going to do business with, which defines your process, because you want to make it hard for tire kickers to get through the door, and the real serious people will not be put off at all by a convoluted path to you. It's important for you to determine how much money you want to make. Ethically selfish. How much money do I want to make on a given basis? And going back to SMART goals, it's not a lot. Yes, it might be, but there needs to be a number. So if we take that number, now we have to figure out how many hours a day do you want to work? Okay? I'm best if I work about 6, somewhere in that ballpark. I work a whole lot longer. When I was on the ambulance doing paramedic shifts, which is something I still do with my kids, we still work on a volunteer ambulance squad. Those shifts are 12 hours long. So I'm not opposed to long days, and I'll do them. And I'll work as long as I need to provide good service to the customer and the clients. But typically a 6-hour day, especially if I'm doing a lot of writing, taps me out and I have to take a break from it. Second part of the math, how many days a week do you want to work? Mine, 4 to 5. Yours may be more or less, especially if you're newer into starting your business. You might have to do, for a short period of time, you might have to do 6. You might be in a retail business that requires you to do 6 because you are not at the position to hire somebody yet. I get that. But the goal in the process is how quickly can you stop that based on how you want to structure your life and how are you going to get there? The third one is how many weeks a year are you going to work? You have to build in vacation time. I cannot tell you how many people I talk to and I say, when did you take your last vacation? And they go, what is that? It is time to recharge, regenerate, just regroup. You cannot, maybe for the first year, if you have to, you go without a vacation. After the first year, you either have your business structured so you can take some time off, or it's not structured right because you can't, in which case we have to talk some more about how to get your business structured so that you can. So when you put all that math together, if I want to make, let's say, for example, you want to make $200,000 a year, you want to work 48 weeks out of the year, you want to work 5 days a week, and you want to work 7 hours a day. When you do all that math and divide that $200,000 into that, it tells you how much you have to make every day, every hour, every week in order to do that. It also will help you, it depends on how you're providing services or product, it also helps you determine your pricing. And then if your pricing, as mine is on the higher end of things, you then have to say, okay, who are the appropriate clients for me to be able to work with that will see the value to pay that price point? And that changes your marketing. It changes your worldview of who you should be going after to talk to. It changes the words that you use in marketing the services. So if I'm talking to sophisticated, higher end business owners, I don't talk the same as if I am talking to a retail community that is used to buying things on sale using a Groupon coupon. Changes a lot of the way in which you do what you do. So it is important to that at that point you sell to those who can appreciate and afford your stuff, whatever it is. And it's your life. So when it's no longer fun and it's no longer profitable and it's no longer meeting your life goals, GTFO. And if you don't know what that means, it's get the out, which is what we did with the business after 28 years. It was not meeting our standards, our life goals. It was causing stress, was causing health issues. It was time. You have to be able to do that, which drives to the last one, which is your terms. How will you provide those products and services? Who will you and who will you not serve? You have to be able to carve out people you will not be able to serve, do not want to serve, do not want to do business with at all. And that has to go back to your core values, which we talked about in episode 2, talking about core values, knowing your why, and sticking to those core values, including who you're not going to do business with or types of organizations you might not do business with. And then it's critical, absolutely critical, to wind this whole thing down, to be true to your why. If you have that why and you know what you're doing, why you're doing it, you can determine why it's important to have those 2, 3, 4 weeks of vacation. Why it's important to have those 2 days off or 2.5 days off or whatever it is. Why it's important for you to not take a client that's going to drive you out of your mind and impact your ability to go home happy. Not every day, and this is by no means, nirvana and everything's going to be hunky-dory every single day. It's not going to work out that way. You're going to have bad days, good days. The bottom line is you take a client or you start working with with a vendor or something like that, and that little voice that told you probably shouldn't do this and you do it anyway, and then you kick yourself in the butt. Yeah. Be prepared to cut loose those folks that don't match, that don't fit in, that aren't appropriate. You'll be much happier for it. So hopefully that was helpful for you. Get you started. That's about all the time we have for this edition of Do Business on Your Own Terms. Join us next week, and we're going to talk about something that was started by my wife, Jennifer, when she asked me a question several years ago, and it was the catalyst for most of this, which is knowing when enough is enough. I'm going to try to talk her into coming on to next week's show. She's a little shy about doing that, so we'll see if I'm persuasive or not. But knowing when enough is next week's episode. Until next week, remember, if you're going to do business on your own terms.
This is the podcastfactory.com.